Call Me Izzy.
Yes.
You could say that you have juice at this point in your career. You,
That sounds good.
I mean, really, you could choose to do anything now.
Well,
Just about anything now. Why this project?
it was just one of those things where I read the script and I said, I have to do this. I have to play this character. And it's just been a matter over the last couple of years of finding the right time where I could do it.
So you
within the
knew
hacked schedule and
this was
everything.
kind of in your pocket for a while?
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't been looking at it. It'd always been just something like, oh, hope someday, you know. But then it started becoming a little more real last year, and we did a couple of readings of it in Los Angeles for about, I don't know, 50, 60 people, and then we went to New York and did a couple of readings of it, and the reception was very, very good, and so we said, let's really seriously try to work out some dates.
What was it about this character, Izzy?
She's just very unique, but it's not a kind of character you just see. She's unusual. She's optimistic. She's funny. I mean, it's heartbreaking at times. It's hard to describe. I mean, she's just kind of, on one hand, you could say she's, you know, imprisoned practically and downtrodden, but on the other hand, you could say she's just absolutely unsinkable. She's a survivor. She's brave and, you know, a dreamer, and it's just an amazing script.
Ticket sales have already been brisk, to say the least.
That's what I heard. I'm so happy.
How special is it that tickets went on sale on your mom's birthday?
My mother would have loved this, just loved this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I love it when cosmic things happen like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you believe in that stuff? Kind of things aligning?
I like to. I mean, sometimes I think, what meaning am I to derive from that? But it is nice sometimes when things seem like kismet or something, you know.
It's been 25 years since you've been on Broadway?
That's what they tell me, I guess. We did about 10 years ago, we did a staged reading of the production of Man Who Came to Dinner that we did in 2000, that I did with Nathan Lane. And the whole cast came back. And it was a fundraiser for the Actors Fund. And I swear to God, everybody remembered their lines. Everybody knew. I mean, we all were just kind of shocked, really, at how familiar it all felt. It was great fun.
So that's it. Do you feel like those muscles are easily
Yeah,
re-exercised, those Broadway muscles?
And it's just, yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I think there was only one actor in the entire cast, and it was a big cast, who couldn't make it.
That's amazing.
It was really fun.
For this particular role, it seems like it would be very challenging. It's you.
I've never done a one-woman show, so yes, it's mildly terrifying. More than mildly, because there's no one else on stage to bail you out if you screw up. And it's 75 pages of material. The longest speech I've ever done on stage was 15 and a half pages. And that was a little daunting. And that was when I was in my 30s and had a lot more brain cells. So we'll see.
Is there a way to train for this?
Well, I think just, you know, I mean, I've started trying to be a little more disciplined about supplements and vitamins and sleep and water and things like that. And I have a vocal coach who's, you know, going to help me strengthen my voice, and then we're rehearsing 6 days a week. So I've been running lines with my boyfriend, so that's been very helpful.
Is he a good scene partner?
Yes, he's a wonderful actor, yes.
Do you take time off?
I'm really not a workaholic. It probably looks like I am. I actually do exceedingly well with downtime and absolutely nothing to do. I'm very good with that. Um, I can look at fabric swatches and magazines for days on end. Um, you know, just listen to music, watch the news, eat, you know. But it's hard. I was trying to explain this to my kids because sometimes they say, Mom, you got to learn how to say no sometimes. And I said, oh, I know that. I absolutely know that. I said, but it's hard when things come along that are the kinds of things that you've worked for your whole career suddenly are being handed to you. And it's hard to say no.
That makes total sense. Looking at your career, it looks like you've never not been working. Is that accurate?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I've been very lucky. Ever since I got out of college, I've been able to support myself as an actor, and which I know is extraordinarily lucky. Yeah, I did nothing but theater for years, which of course isn't, a money gig. You do it for the love. But, I mean, back then I was, single and I didn't have kids. And so you'd think, well, next month's rent will somehow, materialize. And it always did, somehow. And I was in Seattle, which was a very vibrant theater community. So I was able to go, work at all the theaters in Seattle and then also do summers at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And that, kept me going for quite a while.
Why did you decide to give television a try?
Well, I had done theater for so long, in Seattle and after school. And I mean, I wasn't actively thinking about it, but my agents set me up with an audition. These producers were coming out to New York to audition for a TV series with Lynn Redgrave. I thought, oh, well, maybe, I've never done anything in front of a camera. I'm 32 years old, Maybe I should give it a whirl. So.
And it worked out. Yeah. But when you were offered Designing Women, you were apprehensive about signing that contract at first?
Well, I had done, I think, 4 very short-lived series before Designing Women. And I don't know why I wasn't nervous or trepidatious about signing those contracts, because at that time you had to sign, I think, a 7-year contract. And it's kind of anathema to a theater actor. It's like, no, I'm going to commit myself to something like that, I don't, maybe I knew in my bones that it was going to go because you know what I mean? I loved the character. I loved the script, but I remember I started crying and I thought, I've just sold my soul to the company store. What have I done? I don't know. But it must have been that I knew that it was that good, that it was going to stick around for a while.
And it did.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing for you.
In many ways, yeah, yeah. Actually, it was a 5-year contract. Yeah.
You met your husband on Designing Women.
Had my baby during there, that time, my first baby.
When you first saw Richard, did you know?
Apparently, because we were never apart from that day.
Is that right? From the moment you met?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we were together. It's actually the best way. I think meeting somebody at work is great because if you're attracted to each other, but you don't want to have the nervousness or the pressure of a date, but you're together all day, every day, because you have to be. So it's kind of a perfect excuse to get to know somebody. And so we were together those 5 days that we took to film that first episode he was on of Designing Women, which was the 5th episode of the show. The show hadn't even aired yet. And he was on the 5th episode, and he played Annie Potts' boyfriend. And I just, as Dixie Carter used to say, got to have me some of that. I'm sorry, Dixie, but you did. I was very attracted to him, and he was incredibly funny and friendly and sweet, and yeah, it was just, and he was doing a play, and he invited me to come and see his play, and I'd ask him into my trailer to help me with my crossword puzzles and,
To help you with your crossword puzzles?
yes, showing my etchings. No, I told him, I said, the only reason I'm being super, nice to you and everything is because every week when we have a guest star, one of the four of us gals is assigned to the guest star to kind of, make them feel comfortable and have lunch with them and this kind of stuff. And I said, this was my week.
Is that true?
No. Did he buy it? No.
So you said you had your first child during Designing Women, too.
Mm-hmm.
Did that change how you saw work or how you saw the future?
Oh, I think very much so. Because when I compare that to, I loved doing that show. I loved those women and Meshack, of course. And part of the reason I left after the 5 years of my contract was, and this is going to sound, I don't know what it's going to sound like, but anyway, annoying, for lack of a better word. But I really, coming from the theater and always having been broke and growing up without money, I could feel that I was getting used to having some money.
And you didn't like that feeling?
We weren't making tons of money, but we were making, obviously, good money compared to most people. I didn't want to get used to that. I never wanted to make a decision about a job based on money. I knew that would be the end of my creative career. So I thought, it's time. My contract's up. I don't need to extend it. It's fine. I need to go. Plus, I just gotten married and I had a child. And so, that part of my life was filling me up. And I didn't feel like, But I mean, I didn't stop working.
That's the thing. You never stopped working.
Yeah.
And then you got your first Emmy for a guest appearance on Frasier. Did that change things for you in terms of the roles you were offered or kind of how you were perceived?
I don't know. Maybe.
Did it feel like something changed?
Because it was
after
a
the
different
Emmy?
kind of humor than the Designing Women humor, much different character than Charlene. So yeah, I suppose it did. I guess you'd have to ask casting directors.
I
don't
guess
know.
that's true. What do you think it is that, some actors are known for one thing and they do that one thing very well and people love them for that thing. That is not you. You do so many different things, play such a wide variety of roles. Why do you think that is, that you can meld back and forth to all these different roles?
Well, I mean, that's to me what the fun of acting is. You kind of become an actor, to me anyway, because you don't want to do the same thing every day, 9 to 5. I don't know. I think my theater training, my theater background certainly helped, because in school we did all different genres of plays, different kinds of characters, and to me that's what it was all about. It's fun to use. I mean, even people who aren't actors, you're in certain situations where you have to dress a way you're not used to dressing or something, and it's fun to bring out another part of your personality. We all have different facets of our personality, and it's fun to use them. So yeah, I have a friend who's been in a series for, I don't know, 12 years, 15 years or something, but they're happy,
But that's not you.
But they did a lot of stuff before, so they'd gotten that out of their system, and now they have a nice, secure job. It's a quality show, and so that's most actors' dream.
Oh, yeah. But it's interesting how you do one thing and then switch it up. Like that's kind of been your...
Well, but I've also been lucky to be able to do that. I mean, a lot of actors want to do that. They just haven't been given the opportunities to do that. So I have been really lucky that I have been offered things where I've been able to and I have to say, when I was doing Mayor of Easttown and then I immediately did Hacks, and they aired, I think, a week apart or something, that was absolutely serendipity that really boosted my career like that. Just simply the timing of those two shows. So for that, I take no credit whatsoever.
Just serendipity.
Yeah, because people looked at those two diametrically opposed women and went, oh, wow, you know. But so that was luck. That was just pure luck.
Well, it's kind of preparation meets opportunity, right? There's a little something
Well,
else in
yes,
there,
okay,
perhaps.
thank you.
So let's talk hacks. What do you love about Deborah Vance?
Everything. I on paper, she was everything I could have hoped for in what my next project would be. Funny, moving. I got to pretend to be a stand-up comic. Oh my God! When I was little, I used to think it'd be so cool to be a stand-up comic. I idolized Phyllis Diller. Yeah, no, I mean it just had everything, and I was just ecstatic when they offered it to me. It amazes me that the writers are able to keep coming up with challenges for her and all of the characters, and all of the characters have become deeper and richer and more complicated, and they haven't lost the lovely butting of heads between Deborah and Ava, which I was afraid would happen after season 1 when they got kind of friendly and
That they kind of softened toward
yeah,
each other.
that part would go away, that the generational thing and everything. But they've been able to just ride that tightrope, and it gets better and better. It's amazing.
Do you know what's coming?
I have absolutely no idea.
Do you want to know what's coming?
No, because if I asked, they'd tell me.
And you don't want to ask?
No, because I mean, in a way, it's kind of fun to be surprised, but also too, it's like real life. We don't know what's coming next,
Wouldn't it be kind of nice if we did? We could maybe prepare ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, some of it would be nice. Some of it maybe not so nice. I don't know.
Has there been a time on Hacks when you've read that Deborah's doing something and said, "Oh no, I don't know that I can do this"?
I think once or twice, and we were able to work it out. Because I told them in our very first meeting, I said, I have to tell you, and that you need to know this, and I'm serious. You need to know this up front, that I'm kind of a prude. There's certain things I'm not going to want to say or do. And they laughed, and I said, no, I'm not a joke, not being funny, because I do not want to be the thorn in your side. I refuse to be that. I want this to be pleasant and, collaborative, and I don't want to be the one that makes you crazy on the set, because that's not my thing. And so I think there's only been, in 5 years, I think there's only been 1 or 2 jokes or moments where we had a little bit of a, and worked it out. It was fine.
So, first season of Hacks, you can tell that you're on this successful ride, and then you suffer this terrible loss with 5 days left of shooting? Your husband died? Did being on the show, and I don't want to trivialize it in any way, but did that help to have the show there?
It certainly helped get through those last. Well, of course, ironically, I was doing the show, but it certainly helped to be with incredibly supportive, loving people to get through those last 5 days, because we simply had to finish the show. I couldn't just, bow out of the last 5 days. They were incredibly accommodating. They said, you take a couple of weeks off, or, you can do a day here and a day there, or you can do it all at once, whatever you want to do. So I said, I was still kind of in shock, so I just said, let's just do the 5 days. Just get them done. Just get them done,
Do it all at once?
Yeah. The only, I had one rough day where we were doing a funeral scene, and I thought, I don't know if I can do this. But I took an Ativan. I had a few because I went through a fear of flying period, which I'm pretty much over. But I said, yeah. And it actually turned out to be a really good and very, very, very funny scene about Ava's father's funeral. And yeah, no, that was a. It wasn't something that was expected, so it was very shocking and of course very traumatizing for my children, especially our youngest was only 12 years old.
How do you, I ask myself this as a mom too, struggling with my own issues and then work and all of that, but how do you even balance being a mom and now a single mom and then the work side?
I think it's actually harder now because I think for a couple of years I was just running on adrenaline and absolutely obsessed with the idea of being able to do it all and be strong for my kids, especially my young one, to let them know that, everything's okay. Mom can run, steer the ship and do it all. But that takes its toll, and I was happy to do it. I mean, I was happy to be able to do it. But oh, wow, I don't know how you're so strong. I said, well, is it strength? Is it? I don't know. It's just, I don't have a choice. So if you don't have a choice, is that strength? I don't know. You just do it. It has to be done, You just take your kid to school and you go to work and But I have more respect for working single mothers than I ever even could have dreamed. I don't know how most of them do it. I really don't. And I have the support and the resources that most single moms do not have. I literally don't know how they do it. I don't.
That's great. Is there anything that you would tell your younger self starting out in 1980 in New York City? Any advice you would give Jean Smart from those days?
Pursue musicals more. Stay in New York longer before you go to LA. Don't eat so many bagels from Zabar's. Yeah, that's it.
Why not?
No, it's bad for my blood sugar. Yeah.
Musicals.
Yeah.
Might you someday still do a musical? There have been a couple that were close.
Well, I've been offered a couple, but I chickened out.
Why?
It seemed really scary.
The singing part?
Actually, Stephen Sondheim, the last one that was offered to me was Stephen Sondheim. I don't know why I went and auditioned for him. I think because I used to sing quite well when I was young, and my voice had gotten in very bad shape, and I'm still working on it. And I started taking voice lessons several years ago, and I got so excited about being able to realize I could still sing. The teacher convinced me to go to New York and audition for Follies. They were doing a revival of Follies. So I went and I auditioned for Stephen Sondheim, and he offered me the part, and I was like, ooh, uh-oh.
And you turned him down?
Yeah. I have a nice note from him somewhere. Got to frame it.
That said,
well, because I told him there was family issues and needed to.
and that was just part of the story?
I think, actually, for that one, I think Follies was not one of. I love Sondheim stuff. For some reason, Follies I wasn't crazy about, so I shouldn't have auditioned for it. If it had been like Guys and Dolls, it would have been, bye, kids. I'm going to New York. No, seriously, it'd been Guys and Dolls. Yeah, I just, it wasn't one of those things where I just thought, I'll die if I don't do this, so.
So you didn't.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your how you make decisions? I'll die if I don't do this.
Kind of. Yeah. But that's a luxury. That's a huge luxury. But yeah. Yeah. Or it's I have to work with this particular person or this particular director. But no, if I read the script, I have to hear that character in my head and go, oh yeah, I know what I want to do with her. You know. But if I just don't get any feeling from reading it, then I just think,
No matter how much money they offer you.
yeah, no, it can't be about that. I just can't. I'm not a Pollyanna, trust me, I'm not. But it can't be that. I mean, my kids aren't going to be on the streets, so if they were going to be on the streets, I'd do it, okay? But
So when you look at the future, what comes after Call Me Izzy?
well, we might be doing it somewhere else.
I like that tease.
Can't say. And we have another season of Hacks, of course, so that comes first.
How much of a blessing has it been to have this job in LA so you can go home every night?
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't have done it if it had been shot in Atlanta or something. No.
No. It's like having a 9-to-5 job, kind of, right?
Yeah. A little longer than 9 to 5, but yeah.
So how do you look at the future? Like, I don't know if you're one of those people that kind of wakes up in the morning and thinks about what you're grateful for, or goes to bed at night and thinks about what you're grateful for. But when you do that, what do you?
I should do that. Thanks. Now I feel terrible. I'm a bad person.
When you look at the broad future, what do you think? What's
Well,
out there?
looking at the future at my age now isn't as fun as it used to be. Yeah. Do I wish all of this had happened 20 years ago? Absolutely. Why didn't it? I don't know. Ask the casting directors. I felt like I could have made a lot more use out of that career boost 20 years ago. Because there's so many parts now I simply can't play just because of my age, so that's very frustrating, But I am extraordinarily grateful for all the amazing things that have been coming my way, and I can't explain it. But yeah, no, I mean, I want to, someday I'd like to do another great series. I would like to do some more theater. And my youngest is going to be off to college in about a year, which I can't even believe I'm saying that. That will give me a little more freedom in terms of, my schedule. And when Hacks is done, I'll certainly have a lot more freedom in my schedule to do different things. But I also look forward to doing, for a little while anyway, doing absolutely nothing. Just, pet her around the house and garden a little bit and go to the grocery store and play with the dog and just hang out and not get up early. And I call that just getting to be a person, because sometimes I just go, don't I get to just be a person sometimes? I need to just be a person. I don't want to always be doing, I mean, this is lovely, this interview, but, sometimes you just go, oh, I have another interview. Oh, God. I get so tired of the sound of my own voice.
I can understand that.
People are going to get so sick of me.
Oh, no. Critics love the show. Audiences love the show. You've won an Emmy every season. Do you allow yourself a moment to step back and go, well done?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, I'm proud of the show. I'm proud of everybody in it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm constantly thrilled at how the audiences respond to the show, and the breadth of audience we have, young and old and male and female, and that was a surprise and a real gift. Yeah. It seems to reach so many people.
Yeah. Sometimes maybe a little too young, but
Well, yes, no, you don't want. It's not a show for children.
Although you've had children come up to you and
Well,
say,
yes,
Deborah Vance!
yes. It was like, thanks, but where's your mother? Yeah, yeah. No, it's not. It's not a kids show by any means. No.
Is there anything that you've learned since the last time that you were on Broadway that you feel like you can apply to this new experience?
That I've learned like in life.
Yeah, just that you can bring to this show, that it's like, oh, now that I have another chance to do theater, to do Broadway. It can be no. It doesn't have to be an answer.
I'm not sure. I might be able to answer that after we start running the show, maybe.
Okay, so I'll ask you. I'll ask you later on.
It's going to be a whole different animal doing a one-woman show. And backstage will be very lonely. I'm sitting in my dressing room going, I thought you were particularly good last night. Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you. I thought you were very funny. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, seriously. You nailed that joke in Act 2. It's like, really? Oh, no, don't just say that. No, really.
See, I could just watch this for an hour.